Content-based instruction is a method of teaching foreign languages that integrates language instruction with instruction in the content areas. In this approach, the foreign language is used as the medium for teaching subject content, such as mathematics or social studies, from the regular classroom curriculum, making language learning the vehicle for consolidating general skills and knowledge. It becomes an integral part of the entire school program. Krashen suggests that a second language is most successfully acquired when the conditions are similar to those present in first language acquisition. That is, when the focus of instruction is on meaning rather than on form. This suggests that the focus of the second language classroom is based on the premise that when students are engaged in meaningful activities, they acquire language, including writing, as naturally as they learned to walk and talk. In thematic teaching, the curriculum is organized around a thematic center that can originate in the classroom, the school, the environment, or the target culture. There are many ways to approach creating a CVI lesson. This is one possible way. Choose a subject of interest to students. Find 3 or 4 suitable sources that deal with different aspects of the subject. These could be websites, reference books, audio or video of lectures, or even real people. Divide the class into small groups and assign each group a small research task and a source of information to use to help them fulfill the task. Then, once they have done their research, they form new groups with students that use other information sources and share and compare their information. There should then be some products as the end results of this sharing of information. There are a variety of strategies used in content-centered second language instruction. Here we will present 4 types of strategies. Cooperative learning. In this method, students of different linguistic and educational backgrounds and different skill levels work together on a common task for a common goal in either the language or the content classroom. Cooperative groups encourage students to communicate, to share insights, and jointly construct knowledge. Task-based or experiential learning. Students learn by carrying out specific tasks or projects. For example, doing science and not just reading about it. Whole language approach. The approach is consistent with integrated language and content instruction as both emphasize meaningful engagement and authentic language use, and both link oral and written language development. This includes dialogue journals, reading response journals, learning logs, process-based writing, and language experience stories. Graphic organizers. They enable students to organize information obtained from written or oral text, develop reading strategies, increase retention, activate scheme as a pre-reading or pre-listening activity, and organize ideas during the pre-writing stage. Essential advanced preparation. Developing learning strategies. Choosing teaching techniques. And with an appropriate classroom organization. Learning strategies empowered our students to become active learners rather than passive recipients of information to be memorized. Emphasis on the communicative function of language. A way to encourage the development of intellectual skills. It can make learning a language more interesting and motivating. Students can use the language to fulfill a real purpose, which can make students both more independent and confident. Students can also develop a much wider knowledge of the world through CVI, which can feedback into improving and supporting their general educational needs. CVI is very popular among EAP teachers, as it helps students to develop valuable study skills, such as note-taking, summarizing, and extracting key information from texts. Taking information from different sources, reevaluating and restructuring that information can help students to develop very valuable thinking skills that can then be transferred to other subjects. The inclusion of a workgroup element within the framework given above can also help students to develop their collaborative skills, which can have great social value. Because CVI isn't explicitly focused on language learning, some students may feel confused or may even feel that they aren't improving their language skills. Deal with this by including some form of language-focused follow-up exercises to help draw attention to linguistic features within the materials and consolidate any difficult vocabulary or grammar points. Particularly in monolingual classes, the overuse of the student's native language during parts of the lessons can be a problem, because the lesson isn't explicitly focused on language practice. Students find it much easier and quicker to use their mother tongue. Try sharing your rationale with students and explain the benefits of using the target language rather than their mother tongue. It can be hard to find information sources and text that lower levels can understand. Also, the sharing of information in the target language may cause great difficulties. Some students may copy directly from the source text they use to get their information. Avoid this by designing tasks that demand students evaluate the information in some way, to draw conclusions, or actually to put it to some practical use. Having information sources that have conflicting information can also be helpful, as students have to decide which information they agree with or must believe. While CVI can be both challenging and demanding for the teacher and the students, it can also be very stimulating and rewarding. The degree to which you adopt this approach may well depend on the willingness of your students, the institution in which you work, and the availability of resources within your environment. It could be something that your school wants to consider introducing across the curriculum, or something that you experiment with just for 1 or 2 lessons. Whichever you choose to do, I would advise that you try to involve other teachers within your school, particularly teachers from other subjects. This could help you both in terms of finding sources of information and in having the support of others in helping you to evaluate your work. Lastly, try to involve your students. Get them to help you decide what topics and subjects the lessons are based around and find out how they feel this kind of lessons compares to your usual lessons. In the end, they will be the measure of your success.